Hi, how's everyone doing today? I'm really excited to be here with you guys and cover this topic. Today we're going to talk about strategies for healthy vegan eating for optimal micronutrient intake. So before we get started, just take a minute and tell you guys a little bit about myself. My name is Amber Rains. I have a Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Health Science. After I graduated in 2011, I started out working for a corporate wellness company. Did that for 5 years. I recently moved to Boston, Massachusetts, where I've been working for a physical therapy clinic, also doing a little bit of workplace wellness for them for the past year. I'm currently enrolled at the University of New England, getting my Master of Science in Applied Nutrition. I'm a plant-based diet enthusiast. I've been eating plant-based for a little bit over 2 years now. And part of my journey was figuring out the most healthful ways to eat vegan. I really started eating plant-based for ethical reasons, my love for animals, but obviously I wanted to make sure that I was getting the proper nutrition that would be a concern for me for any diet I'm on, regardless of whether it's vegan or an omnivorous diet. So hopefully I can share some things that I've learned along the way with you guys. And I love food. It's probably a reason why I have such a strong interest in nutrition. I love to cook. I love to explore foods of different cultures. I specifically like my favorites are Indian foods and Mediterranean foods. I feel like those diets are a little bit more structured toward vegetarian eating, definitely more so than your standard American diet. All right, so goals for the seminar today. By the end of this, I would like for you all to be able to identify micronutrients that are commonly underconsumed in a vegan diet. We're going to talk about some foods that contain iron, vitamin B12, vitamin D, calcium, and omega-3s, and I would like for you to be able to identify those when we're done. And also be comfortable planning meals that supply these nutrients and determining whether supplementation should be used in conjunction with your diet. The first mineral that we're going to talk about is iron. Iron is an essential trace mineral that's required for human life. It's important because it carries oxygen to the tissues from the lungs in the form of hemoglobin. It's also a transport medium for electrons within the cells and is an important part of enzymes. And enzymes are proteins that increase the rate of chemical reactions in the body. So there are two types of iron. You have your heme iron, which is found in animal products, and non-heme that's found in plant foods. So heme iron found in animal products is a little bit more readily absorbed by the body, and it's absorbed at about 18%. As compared to iron found in plant products that are absorbed by the body at a rate of about 10%. So part of the reason for the decreased bioavailability of non-heme iron is the content, some nutrients that are contained in plant foods, such as phytates. This isn't the only inhibitor, but this is the main one I wanted to talk about today. Phytates are found in legumes, they're found in grains, and also nuts and seeds. And a lot of these foods are pretty abundant in vegan diets. We eat them to get some of our micronutrients and our healthy fats and things like that. And so We don't want to cut those out of our diet, but we do want to come up with some strategies that may help improve absorption of iron, regardless of whether those foods contain phytates or not. And one of the best iron absorption enhancers is vitamin C. So we're going to talk about this here in a couple slides. So recommended daily allowances are, we're just going to call them RDAs. So your RDA for iron, for women between the ages of 19 and 50, the recommendation is 18 milligrams per day. And for women over 50, it's 8 milligrams per day. So once a woman's gone through menopause and you're no longer menstruating, you're not going to be quite as at risk for iron deficiency. So that is why that recommendation is less after the age of 50. So I've got a list here. Not necessarily going to read them to you one by one of some plant sources of iron. So if you want to take a look at that, also in the handout that you have, these will be listed there so you can refer to those whenever you need to. So I just highlighted a few over here. By the numbers, you can see a cup of black beans, you're going to get about 4.56 milligrams of iron. Tofu, a half a cup, will provide you with about 3.24 milligrams, and 1 cup of cooked spinach contains about 1.8 milligrams of iron. So some tips for increasing bioavailability and intake of iron are going to include cooking foods in an iron skillet. I don't know how many of you guys have an iron skillet. If you want to give me a show of hands. I recently purchased one. Don't regret it, regardless of, helping increase iron in my diet a little bit. I just love it. So that's a bonus. Generally, foods that are more acidic are going to absorb more iron from your skillet. So like red sauces and things like that. Our next bullet here is probably your best strategy of improving bioavailability of iron in your diet. So think about pairing iron-rich foods with foods that are high in vitamin C. And also the last two strategies are really going to be in regard to cutting down on phytates in these plant products. So soaking your beans overnight, and then also eating sprouted beans and legumes will also be lower in phytates. Next mineral we're going to talk about is calcium, and calcium is an essential mineral. And when we say essential, it means that you have to get this by eating it. Your body doesn't make this mineral, so the only way to get it is through your diet. So calcium is important, of course, for bones and teeth. We've all seen the Got Milk campaign that encourages everyone to drink milk, but that's not your only route for getting calcium in your diet. But it's not just your bones and teeth that calcium is important for. It also helps muscles and blood vessels contract and expand, helps secrete hormones and enzymes, and also sends messages through the nervous system. So calcium in the diet for vegans is pretty similar to non-vegans. Calcium fortified tofu is an exceptionally rich source of bioavailable calcium. And just like with iron, some contents of calcium-rich plant foods can inhibit the absorption of calcium. And there are a couple other factors that will affect calcium retention, and that will be sodium as well as protein. So the recommended daily allowance for calcium is 1,000 milligrams for women 19 to 50 and 1,200 milligrams per day for women over 50. And again here, listed some plant sources of calcium. and they're in your trifold as well. And just to highlight a few, 1 cup of almond milk contains 437 milligrams of calcium. 1 cup of collard greens contains 160 milligrams of calcium, and half a cup of tofu contains 133 milligrams of calcium. So, some tips for increasing bioavailability and intake of calcium are going to revolve around some strategies of cutting down your salt intake in your diet. So each 1 gram of sodium that is excreted through the urine is also going to carry with it 26.3 milligrams of calcium. So keeping your sodium intake in check is going to be key. And then protein also affects bioavailability of calcium. So for each gram of protein that you eat, it increases the loss of calcium in your urine by 1 milligram. And you might think, okay, well, a good strategy here would then be to reduce your protein intake. But vegan diets are, you're already going to get a little less protein than you would generally in an omnivorous diet. So you might be hard pressed to meet some of your macro needs if you do cut out any more protein of your diet. The thing with calcium is, especially since you're eating less calcium, your body's technically not going to excrete more calcium. So the World Health Organization actually has a different standard of the RDA for calcium. And a lot of European countries that eat a little less meat than the United States, the recommendation according to the World Health Organization is going to be trying to get 700 milligrams of calcium a day. And that should be pretty sufficient for most adults. And then, of course, another strategy is going to be focusing on getting some of those foods that we just looked at in the previous slide in your diet. So the next slide that we're going to get to is going to be include omega-3 fatty acids. We're going to stop this presentation here. This is going to be part 1 of this presentation. The next slide is, or the next presentation is going to pick back up with omega-3 fatty acids, and we will go from there. I look forward to speaking with you again soon.